The big white room was full of noise and bright lights. Ambassador Haiyan Wu sat in the corner where humans always sat. His old face looked tired after many years of trying to make deals with aliens who did not care about humans at all. His helper, Sujin, sat next to him with her computer tablet full of new ideas that humans wanted to share with everyone. The Galactic Council meeting was starting like all the other meetings Han Wu had been to for the past 40 years. The tall crystal aliens, called Altarians, were talking loud and acting like they owned everything. The purple aliens with many arms, called Vectори, were moving around and making rude sounds when humans tried to speak. Even the nice green aliens called Morden, who used to be friends with humans, now acted like humans were not important. Wu remembered when he first came to these meetings. He was young and excited. He thought humans could help make the galaxy a better place. He brought ideas about medicine and farming and building things that could help everyone. But year after year, the other aliens would listen for a few minutes, then talk about something else. Today was supposed to be different. Humans had worked for 6 months on a new plan to help protect small planets from space pirates. Human soldiers were very good at fighting, and humans had smart ideas about keeping peace. Sujin had all the numbers and charts ready to show how much money it would save everyone. The crystal alien leader named Vorthak was talking about giving more money to big alien companies. Han Wu raised his hand to speak. Vorthak looked at him for 1 second, then looked away. Like Han Wu was not even there. The other aliens did the same thing. They kept talking about their own business like humans were invisible. Sujin whispered to Haiyan Wu. She was angry. Her face was red and her hands were shaking. She said the aliens were being rude on purpose. They wanted humans to feel small and unimportant. It was working. Most of the other human ambassadors looked sad and tired. The meeting went on for 3 hours. Not one time did any alien ask what humans thought about anything. When aliens needed soldiers to fight dangerous battles, they asked humans. When aliens needed doctors to cure sick people, they asked humans. When aliens needed smart people to fix broken machines, they asked humans. But when it was time to make important decisions, humans were told to sit quietly, and Haiyan Wu watched as the aliens voted on who would get the best trade deals this year. All the big alien groups got good deals. Humans got nothing. They did not even get asked if they wanted anything. The vote happened so fast that Han Wu almost missed it. That was when something inside the old ambassador finally broke. He had spent 40 years of his life trying to make these aliens respect humans. He had missed his daughter growing up. He had missed his wife getting sick. He had given everything to this job, and the aliens treated him like he was nobody. Hyun Woo stood up very slowly. His chair made a small noise. The aliens kept talking and did not notice him. He picked up his papers and put them in his bag. Sujin looked at him with big eyes. She did not understand what was happening. Without saying one word, Hyun Woo started walking toward the door. His feet made soft sounds on the metal floor. Some of the other human ambassadors saw him leaving. Ambassador Jin Ho, who worked with the human army, looked confused. He stood up to Dr. Yun Young, who worked with alien doctors, saw Jin Ho standing. She stood up as well. One by one, all the humans in the big room started standing up. They did not know why they were doing it, but something felt right about it. Trade Ambassador Kyung Min gathered his papers. Military Advisor Tae Young closed his computer. Cultural Exchange Leader Bo Young picked up her bag. The aliens finally noticed something was wrong. The crystal alien Vorthak stopped talking mid-sentence. His bright blue light dimmed as he watched all the humans walking toward the door. The purple Vectори started making worried noises with their tentacles. The green Morden aliens looked at each other with confusion. Not one human said goodbye. Not one human made a speech about being angry. Not one human shouted or complained. They just walked out of the room like they were going to lunch. The silence was so complete that it felt heavy. Everyone could hear their own breathing outside the meeting room. Haiyan Wu kept walking toward the spaceport. Other humans followed him like a quiet parade. Security guards from different alien species watched them go, but did not stop them. The humans looked calm and peaceful. They did not look angry or sad. They looked like people who had finally made up their minds about something important. At the spaceport, human ships were waiting. The crews had been ready to leave for hours, like they knew this day would come. Captain Min Ho of the transport ship Sol Wind smiled when he saw the ambassadors coming. He had been hoping for this day for a long time. News traveled fast in the galaxy. Within 1 hour, every alien government knew that humans had left the Galactic Council. The aliens tried to call human leaders on Earth but got no answer. They sent messages asking what was wrong, but humans did not reply on Earth. The news made people excited instead of worried. For the first time in 500 years, humans had stood up for themselves without fighting or arguing. They had just walked away from people who did not value them. President Wu Jin made a short speech on television. He said humans were taking a break from galactic politics to focus on making Earth better. The alien news reporters did not understand what had happened. They kept asking why humans were angry, but humans were not angry anymore. They were something much more dangerous to the aliens. They were done caring what aliens thought about them. Back in the council room, the aliens sat in confused silence. The meeting could not continue because suddenly they realized how many important things humans did for them. Who would fix their computers when they broke? Who would guard their trade ships from pirates? Who would teach their children mathematics? Who would cure diseases that only human doctors understood? The crystal alien Vorthak tried to restart the meeting, but his voice sounded small and worried. The other aliens were not listening. They were all thinking about the same thing. What would happen now that humans were gone for 500 years? Aliens had treated humans like useful servants who should be grateful for any small kindness. Now, for the first time, they had to imagine a galaxy without humans helping them. It was a scary thought. The silence in the council room grew longer and heavier. Outside, human ships were already leaving the space station, heading back toward Earth. The age of humans begging for respect was over. Now aliens would learn what it felt like to need someone who no longer cared about helping them. 3 months went by after humans left the Galactic Council. The first signs of trouble started small. Captain Taemin used to fly his big cargo ship called Sol Pride between 12 different planets. Every month he carried food from farm worlds to city planets. He brought rare metals from mining worlds to factory planets. He moved medicine from human labs to alien hospitals. When Taemin did not show up at Altarian Station, the crystal aliens thought his ship was just running late. They waited 1 day, then 2 days, then a whole week. Finally, they called other shipping companies but learned something scary. No human ships were making deliveries anymore. All the human captains had gone home to Earth. The purple Vecthory aliens on planet Kelmos were expecting their monthly food delivery. Humans had taught them how to grow special crops that could feed twice as many people. The Vecthory thought human farming was simple and stupid, but when their own farmers tried to grow food without human help, the plants started dying, the soil became sick, and the harvest was much smaller than before. Engineer Beorem had worked on 3 big space stations for 15 years. She knew how to fix the giant fusion reactors that gave power to millions of aliens. When she did not come to work, the alien engineers thought they could handle everything by themselves. The fusion reactors were just machines after all. How hard could it be to keep them running? By the end of the first week, 2 of the 3 space stations were having power problems. The alien engineers looked at the human-made control systems and realized they did not understand how anything worked. The computers had thousands of buttons and screens with words in human languages. The instruction manuals were written in ways that only humans seemed to understand. Dr. Sangwoo had spent 15 years on the neutral moon, Kefter, working on cures for diseases that affected many different alien species. He had a big laboratory with the most advanced equipment in the galaxy. When his alien co-workers came to work one Monday, they found empty rooms and a simple note that said all research data had been moved to human computers on Earth. The aliens tried to continue the research without Dr. Sangwoo, but quickly learned that human medicine was much more complicated than they thought. The diseases that Dr. Sangwoo had been curing started spreading again across multiple worlds. Alien doctors who had worked with him for years realized they had been watching him work but not actually learning how he did it. On the Vecthory homeworld, panic was starting. The crops were failing faster than anyone expected. The purple aliens with tentacles had always said human farming methods were too simple for advanced aliens to bother learning. Now their people were getting hungry and they did not know how to fix their farms. The crystal Altarians were having their own problems. Their energy systems were becoming unstable without human quantum mechanics experts. The bright lights that powered their cities started flickering. The force fields that protected their planets from space rocks were getting weaker. Every day brought new system failures. The peaceful green Morden aliens faced the biggest shock of all. For 300 years, they had refused to build armies or make weapons. They said violence was wrong and intelligent beings should solve problems with words. But human peacekeepers had been protecting Morden worlds from space pirates and hostile aliens. Now the Morden planets were defenseless. Space pirate gangs heard the news about humans leaving very quickly. They started attacking Morden trade ships and raiding Morden colonies. The gentle green aliens sent messages asking for help, but learned that no other alien species wanted to risk their own soldiers to protect Morden worlds. The galaxy was more dangerous than the Morden had realized. In the Galactic Council building, emergency meetings were happening. Every day, Ambassador Velktar from the Altarians stood up and said something that shocked everyone. He said maybe they should ask humans to come back. The other aliens looked at him like he was crazy. Humans were primitive and simple. How could advanced aliens need help from humans? But the problems kept getting worse. Human doctors had been working in alien hospitals across the galaxy. When they left, many alien patients started getting sicker. Alien doctors realized that humans had been treating diseases that alien medicine could not cure. Human teachers had been working in alien schools. When they left, alien students could not learn mathematics and science as well as before. The most embarrassing discovery was in the galactic trade networks. Human logistics experts had been organizing shipments and deliveries for hundreds of worlds. When they disappeared, the entire system started falling apart. Ships were getting lost, deliveries were going to wrong planets. Important supplies were sitting in warehouses because no one knew where to send them. Admiral Zekther of the Altarian fleet called a meeting with military leaders from all the major alien species. He had bad news to share. Human military advisors had been helping plan defense strategies for most alien worlds. Without human help, the aliens realized their armies were not as strong as they thought. The worst part was that humans had not sabotaged anything or stolen anything important. They had simply finished their current work and gone home. They left behind all the equipment they had built. They did not take any secret information. They did not break any machines or hurt anyone. They just stopped helping. Intelligence reports from alien spies near Earth brought more bad news. Humans were not sitting around feeling sorry for themselves. Instead, they seemed happy and busy. Human factories were working faster than before. Human scientists were making new discoveries. Human explorers were launching ships toward unexplored parts of the galaxy. The aliens realized something that made them feel sick. Humans had never needed the galactic community as much as the galactic community needed humans. Earth had plenty of resources. Human technology was advancing quickly. Human society was getting stronger, not weaker. For the first time in galactic history, the powerful alien species had to admit they had made a terrible mistake. They had treated humans like servants who should be grateful for any small kindness. But humans had been the foundation that held galactic civilization together. The Galactic Council called an emergency session to discuss what to do about the human problem. But as they sat in their big meeting room looking at the empty corner where humans used to sit, they realized the problem was not with humans. The problem was with them outside the council building. Alien news reporters were asking the same question over and over. How had they missed something so important? How had they not realized that humans were essential to everything they did? The answer was simple but painful. They had not wanted to see it. Admitting that humans were important would have meant admitting that the aliens were not as superior as they liked to believe. Now, it was too late to pretend anymore. The galaxy was falling apart without humans, and everyone could see it happening. Commander Jay Hyon stood on the bridge of his big warship called Inchin, watching another alien ship approach the edge of Earth's solar system. This was the 15th ship this month. All of them carried flags that meant they wanted to talk peacefully. All of them got the same answer from humans. The Green Morden ship sent a message asking permission to deliver a formal apology from their government. Communications Officer Yujin listened to the message and looked at her commander with curious eyes. The aliens had gone from acting confused to acting frustrated to acting truly sorry. Commander Jay Hyon gave the same answer he always gave. He told Yujin to send the standard reply. Humans appreciated the message, but Earth was currently focused on internal development. Humans wished the aliens well in their future endeavors. The Morden ship waited for 2 hours hoping for a different answer, then slowly flew away back. On Earth, the silence was not empty at all. Dr. Hao-1 worked in a laboratory where scientists were making amazing discoveries without constant interruptions from alien consultation requests. Her team had just finished building a new type of space engine that could make human ships faster than anything aliens had ever seen for decades. Human scientists had been limited by galactic safety protocols that said certain experiments were too dangerous. Alien committees had banned research into faster-than-light travel, saying it was impossible, but without those restrictions, human scientists were proving that many impossible things were actually quite possible. Factory supervisor Minho watched his production lines running smoother than they had in years. Human manufacturing had been constrained by galactic trade agreements that made sure alien companies got the best deals. Now, human factories could make whatever they wanted, however they wanted. Human productivity was reaching levels that surprised even the humans themselves. Teacher So Young noticed the biggest changes. In her classroom, her physics students were exploring ideas that alien species had declared stupid or worthless. Without pressure to prepare for interspecies cultural exchange programs, human education had refocused on developing uniquely human talents. Her students were thinking about problems in ways that aliens had never considered. The most important change was in human attitudes. For 500 years, humans had measured their success by whether aliens approved of them. Now humans were measuring success by their own standards. The difference was huge. Humans were happier, more creative, and more ambitious than they had been in centuries. Meanwhile, the galaxy was discovering just how much they had taken human contributions for granted. The Galactic Trade Network experienced its first major collapse in hundreds of years. Space stations were failing as human engineers were no longer available for maintenance. Medical facilities were struggling with diseases that only human doctors had learned to treat. The Vectory homeworld was facing its worst crisis in recorded history. Their population was beginning to panic as food shortages became severe. The purple aliens who had dismissed human farming as primitive were now begging other species for help, but no other species had learned human agricultural techniques. Either the Crystal Altarians were rationing energy for the first time in their civilization's history. Their bright cities were becoming dim as power systems failed without human quantum mechanics experts. Altarian leaders who had once acted like gods were now making desperate plans to prevent total system collapse. Peaceful Morden aliens were experiencing their first military conflict in centuries. Space pirates had attacked 3 Morden colonies and captured 2 trade convoys. The green aliens who had refused to learn about war were now facing enemies who knew they were defenseless. Other alien species were too busy with their own problems to send help. What made everything worse for the aliens was that intercepted signals from Earth suggested human space exploration was expanding rapidly in entirely new directions. Human ships were exploring the galaxy's outer rim regions that had never been mapped by the established galactic powers. Intelligence reports brought news that terrified the alien governments. Human explorers had made contact with previously unknown alien species in the outer rim. These new aliens were apparently treating humans as equals rather than primitives. Some were even offering partnership agreements. The Galactic Council sessions, once marked by confident alien superiority, now carried an undertone of growing panic. Council Chairman Carthel called meeting after meeting, trying to find solutions to problems that seemed to multiply every day. The most disturbing discovery came from the Council's own economic advisors. Their computer models showed that without human involvement, the galactic economy would completely collapse within 5 years. Worse, their projections suggested that Earth's economy was growing stronger every month of isolation. Trade Minister Lakshan, who had built his entire career on dismissing human economic contributions, now had to admit publicly that human trade relationships had been supporting the economies of dozens of worlds. The trade networks that aliens had thought they controlled had actually been managed by human logistics experts. Military advisors brought equally bad news. Human peacekeepers had been preventing conflicts across the galaxy. Without human diplomatic intervention, old feuds between alien species were starting to flare up again. The galaxy was becoming more violent and unstable every month. The aliens had expected humans to come crawling back within a few months, desperate for the benefits of galactic civilization. Instead, humans seemed to be building their own civilization that was advancing faster than anyone had thought possible. Ambassador Velktar of the Altarians made a suggestion that would have been unthinkable a year earlier. He proposed that the Galactic Council should formally apologize to humanity and offer them full partnership with equal voting rights. The other aliens stared at him in shock. Equal partnership meant admitting that humans had always deserved equal treatment. It meant acknowledging that the aliens had been wrong for 5 centuries. It meant accepting that humans were not primitives who needed alien guidance, but advanced beings who had been carrying the galaxy on their shoulders. The silence from Earth continued. Human border patrols politely turned away every alien ship that approached. Human communication networks remained closed to galactic frequencies. Human diplomats gave no indication that they were even aware of the growing chaos in alien territories. For the first time in their history, the powerful alien species were learning what it felt like to need someone who no longer cared about helping them. The lesson was more painful than any military defeat because it came with the knowledge that they had brought this disaster on themselves through their own arrogance and blindness. Admiral Dongjun looked at the intelligence reports with growing amazement. Human scout ships using the new fast engines had discovered 17 planets that could support life in the galaxy's unexplored outer rim. What made this discovery incredible was not just finding new worlds, but learning that these worlds were rich in resources that the current galactic powers desperately needed. Intelligence Officer Hayoung presented the latest information about the alien government's the Vecthory homeworld was experiencing its 3rd consecutive crop failure in a row. Their population was beginning to panic as food became scarce. The Crystal Altarians were rationing energy for the first time in their recorded history, and the peaceful Morden aliens were facing their first military conflict in centuries because they could no longer rely on human peacekeepers to protect them. The irony was not lost on any of the human leadership. For 500 years, humanity had been treated as junior partners in a galactic community that barely tolerated their presence. Now, less than 2 years after humanity's departure, that same community was experiencing system-wide failures that got worse every day. President Wu Jin, who had been a council diplomat before becoming Earth's leader, read through the latest messages from alien governments. The tone had changed dramatically from the early days of confused inquiries. These were not demands or condescending offers to let humanity return to their proper place. These were desperate pleas for help. The Altarian message was particularly striking. The Crystal aliens wrote, "We humbly request an audience with human leadership to discuss mutual cooperation. We acknowledge that our previous interactions may not have reflected the true value of human contributions to galactic society." The language was so different from how Altarians had spoken before that President Wu Jin had to read it twice. The proud crystal beings who had once dismissed humans as primitive were now using words like humbly and acknowledge. It would have been funny if the situation was not so serious. Captain De Jung, commanding the exploration vessel called Bisendream, sent the most significant report yet his ship had encountered a previously unknown alien species in the outer rim called the Zephany. Unlike the established galactic powers, the Zephany were curious about humanity and treated them as equals rather than primitives. Captain De Jung reported, the Zephany are offering genuine partnership. Their technology is different from ours, but works well with our systems. They seem to actually want to learn from us, not just use us. They ask questions about human culture and seem interested in our ideas. This news sent ripples through both human leadership and galactic intelligence networks. The established alien powers realized that humanity was not just ignoring them but actively building new relationships with species that had never been part of the traditional galactic order. The discovery of the Zephany alliance was followed by contact with 2 more unknown species. The Krindle, who were master builders, wanted to work with humans on construction projects. The Vorthani, who were skilled traders, offered exclusive trading agreements that would give humans access to resources the old galactic powers had monopolized. Dr. Insu, head of the Human Scientific Council, presented the most damning evidence of all. Humanity's technological advancement in isolation was exceeding all previous rates of development without the constraints of galactic safety protocols and approved research guidelines. Human scientists were achieving breakthroughs the Council had claimed were impossible. Human ships were now faster than anything in the known galaxy. Human weapons were more advanced than alien military technology. Human medicine was curing diseases that alien doctors had given up on. Human manufacturing was producing goods of higher quality than the galaxy had ever seen. The established alien powers were learning a harsh lesson about the difference between true contribution and mere participation. Humans had not just been participants in galactic civilization, they had been its unacknowledged backbone, holding everything together while being treated like they should be. Grateful for the privileged intelligence reports from alien territories painted a picture of increasing chaos. The Vectari government had declared a state of emergency as food riots broke out in 3 major cities. Altarian colonies were being evacuated as power systems failed one by one. Morden worlds were falling to pirates and raiders who knew the peaceful aliens had no defenses. The Galactic Council was meeting every day now, but their sessions had become exercises in blame and finger-pointing. The Altarian delegate accused the Vectari of hoarding resources. The Vectari blamed the Morden for not contributing to galactic defense. The Morden pointed out that both species had dismissed human offers to help with these exact problems. Admiral Zekther of the Altarian fleet made a desperate proposal. He suggested that the Council should offer humanity complete control over galactic military operations in exchange for their return. The other delegates were shocked. The proud aliens who had once treated humans like servants were now willing to put humans in charge of their armies. Trade Representative Morkov of the Vectari made an even more desperate offer. He proposed giving humanity exclusive mining rights to the richest resource worlds in Vectari space. The purple aliens who had once hoarded their wealth were now willing to give it away just to get human help. The most shocking proposal came from peaceful leader Vathrin of the Morden, who suggested that humanity should be given permanent chairmanship of the Galactic Council. The green aliens who had once voted against every human proposal were now willing to let humans make all the decisions, but these offers were being made to empty space. Human communication networks remained closed. Human diplomats were not answering messages. Human ships continued to explore the Outer Rim and build relationships with new alien species who had never heard of the Galactic Council. The established alien powers realized they were not just losing humanity, they were losing relevance. The galaxy was a big place, and humans were proving that they did not need the traditional powers to build a successful interstellar civilization. Reports from the Outer Rim suggested that humanity was creating something entirely new, a confederation of species based on mutual respect and genuine partnership. The Zephany brought advanced energy technology. The Krindle contributed construction expertise. The Vorthani offered trade networks that reached unexplored regions of the galaxy. Each new alliance made the old Galactic Council seem smaller and less important. The Crystal Altarians, who had once believed they were the most advanced species in the galaxy, were learning that their technology was actually outdated compared to what humans were developing with their new partners. The cascade of consequences was accelerating beyond what anyone had predicted. Alien governments that had seemed stable for centuries were collapsing under the weight of problems they could not solve without human help. The galactic economy was fragmenting as trade networks failed without human logistics expertise. Most terrifying for the established powers was the realization that humanity had not just left them, they had moved on to something better. The Outer Rim Confederation was growing stronger while the core galactic territories were growing weaker. The galaxy was splitting into 2 parts: the old center, where aliens struggled with failing systems and increasing chaos, and the new frontier, where humans and their partners were building a civilization based on cooperation and mutual respect rather than hierarchy and contempt. For the first time in galactic history, the center was becoming less important than the edges. And at the heart of this transformation were the humans who had been dismissed as primitives, but were proving themselves to be the most advanced species of all. Council Chairman Carthel was an ancient Morden whose crystal body had witnessed the rise and fall of 3 different galactic civilizations. He called for the most unprecedented session in Council history for the first time in their existence. The Galactic Council was meeting to discuss the consequences of their own terrible mistakes. Honored delegates, Carthel's voice carried through translation devices with the weight of genuine desperation. We must face an uncomfortable truth. The humans were never the primitives we believed them to be. They were the foundation upon which our modern galactic society was built, and we were too blind to see it. The chamber, once filled with arrogant dismissal of human capabilities, now buzzed with nervous energy. The seats seemed emptier without humans present, and that emptiness felt like an accusation against every alien leader who had voted to ignore human contributions. The Vectory delegate Morkoveth spoke first, with tentacles trembling. Our homeworld's agricultural crisis has reached critical levels. 20% of our population is facing starvation. The human farming techniques we dismissed as crude and primitive were actually the only things preventing this disaster. We called their methods simple because we did not understand how sophisticated they really were. Admiral Zekther of the Altarian fleet added his own grim report. Our energy systems, enhanced by human quantum mechanics, are failing across 17 star systems. We need human engineers, but our intelligence suggests they are now focusing on technologies we cannot even comprehend. They have moved beyond us while we were still pretending to be superior. The most shocking revelation came from the Council's own intelligence services agent Vexani, a Morden spy who had managed to intercept human communications before the Great Silence, presented recordings that made the entire chamber fall completely silent. Recordings revealed that humanity's departure had been planned. For decades, this was not an emotional reaction to a single insult, but a calculated decision made by human leaders, who had finally accepted that the galactic community would never change. Dr. Kung Su, one of humanity's leading scientists, could be heard explaining to his colleagues, "They see us as useful pets, not partners. We contribute our knowledge, our skills, our lives to their society, and they treat us like children who should be grateful for the privilege of serving them." Another recording from Ambassador Hyung-woo himself was even more damning. "We have spent 5 centuries trying to earn their respect through service and dedication. It is time we understood that respect cannot be earned from those who are fundamentally incapable of giving it." The council members realized that humanity's silence was not born from anger or hurt feelings. It was born from a cold, logical assessment that the galactic community was no longer worth their time or effort. This was far more insulting than any angry departure would have been. The final devastating blow came when the Council's economic advisors presented their long-term projections. Without human involvement, the galactic economy would collapse completely within a decade. Manufacturing would decline by 60%. Medical care would regress by centuries. Military effectiveness would drop to pre-space age levels, but the projections also showed something even worse. Intelligence reports suggested that humanity was thriving in their isolation and had established a growing confederation with at least 6 new alien species that had never interacted with the Council. These new alliances were creating a rival power block that was advancing faster than the established galactic order. "We need them more than they need us," admitted Trade Minister Lakshana Vectory, whose entire career had been built on dismissing human economic contributions. "We always have needed them more. We were just too proud to admit it." The admission hung in the air like a death sentence. The proud alien species who had ruled the galaxy for millennia were finally acknowledging that their civilization had been dependent on a species they had treated as inferior servants. Peaceful leader Vethran of the Morden made the most painful confession of all. "Our philosophy of nonviolence only worked because humans were willing to fight our battles for us. We called ourselves evolved and enlightened while humans died protecting our worlds from dangers we refused to face." The intelligence reports kept getting worse. Human technology had advanced beyond anything the Council possessed. Human ships were exploring regions of the galaxy that established powers had never reached. Human alliances were offering better trade deals and more respectful partnerships than the Council had ever provided. Agent Visani presented the most damaging intelligence of all. Recordings from the Outer Rim showed that humanity's new alien partners spoke about humans with genuine respect and admiration. The Zephany called humans the most innovative species they had ever encountered. The Krindle praised human engineering as superior to anything in the known galaxy. These aliens had recognized human value immediately, while the established galactic powers had spent centuries being blind to it. The comparison was humiliating and impossible to ignore. Council Chairman Carthel asked the question that everyone was thinking: what do we do now? How do we fix 500 years of arrogance and contempt? How do we convince a species that has moved beyond us to give us another chance? The silence that followed was deafening. Every delegate knew the answer, even if humans were willing to listen, which seemed unlikely. What could the council possibly offer that would be better than what humans had already built with their new partners? The established alien powers had lost more than human assistance. They had lost credibility. They had proven themselves incapable of recognizing value even when it was right in front of them. They had demonstrated that their advanced civilizations were built on a foundation they had not even known existed. Admiral Zekther made a desperate suggestion. We could offer them everything: full membership with veto power over all council decisions, equal representation in all governing bodies, complete access to all galactic resources. The other delegates nodded, eagerly grasping at this possibility, but Agent Vixani crushed their hopes with more intercepted intelligence. Human leaders were already discussing these exact offers. The recording showed President Wu Jin telling his advisors that the council would eventually make desperate promises they should have offered centuries ago. The human president's words were prophetic and crushing. They will offer us everything we once begged for, but it will be. We have found partners who valued us from the beginning. Why would we return to those who only recognized our worth when they were desperate? The council session ended in stunned silence. The alien leaders finally understood the full scope of their failure. They had not just lost valuable allies, they had created their own replacements. The humans they had dismissed were building a better galactic civilization without them. The age of alien supremacy was ending not through conquest or war, but through irrelevance. Humans had simply walked away and built something better. The established powers were learning that in a galaxy full of possibilities, being left behind was the cruelest fate of all. The great ships of the Galactic Council's combined fleet approached the edge of Earth's solar system with more humility than any of them had ever shown. Fleet Admiral Kavesh had been chosen specifically because he had always shown more respect for humans than his peers. He was their best hope for this most important mission in galactic history. To the people of Earth, his voice carried across the void, translated into perfect Korean, English, and 17 other human languages. The Galactic Council formally acknowledges our grave errors in judgment. We come not as superiors offering forgiveness, but as supplicants seeking it. The message was broadcast on every frequency the aliens could access. Admiral Kavesh continued with words that no alien leader had ever spoken before. We offer complete reparations for centuries of dismissal and disrespect. We propose a new galactic charter with humanity as senior partners, with full voting rights and veto power over all council decisions on Earth. President Wu Jin sat in the Situation Room with his advisors watching the alien fleet maintain a respectful distance at the system's edge. Defense Minister Chan Young shook her head in amazement. 3 years ago, they would have entered our system without permission and demanded immediate audience. Now they are asking politely just to approach our outer planets. The formal proposal documents transmitted along with the message were unprecedented in galactic history. The aliens were offering humanity everything they had asked for over the past 5 centuries: shared technology, equal representation, guaranteed resource rights. Formal apologies to be recorded in Galactic Historical Archives. Foreign Minister Yun Hai reviewed the proposals. With growing incredulity, they are offering us control over galactic defense networks, complete access to Altarian energy technology, exclusive mining rights on 12 resource-rich worlds, a permanent seat as council chairman with authority to overrule any decision. The offers kept getting more desperate. The Vectari were proposing to make Earth the center of galactic agriculture, with human farmers directing food production on hundreds of worlds. The Morden were offering to place all their peaceful worlds under human protection. The Altarians were willing to share their most advanced scientific knowledge. President Wu Jin read through proposal after proposal, each more generous than the last. The aliens were essentially offering to make humanity the ruling species of the galaxy. Everything they had once hoarded, they were now willing to give away. The species that had treated humans as servants were now begging to become servants themselves. The irony was complete. The galactic community was now offering humanity everything they had once begged for, but it was too late. Humanity had discovered something far more valuable than acceptance from those who had scorned them. They had discovered their own worth and found partners who recognized it. Admiral Dongjun presented the latest reports from the Outer Rim territories. The Zephany Alliance is proposing a mutual defense pact where both species contribute equally. The Krindle want to establish joint research facilities where human and Krindle scientists work as equal partners. The Vorthani are offering trading agreements that benefit both species rather than just one. The contrast was stark. The established alien powers were offering to give humans everything in exchange for their return. The new alien partners were offering to share everything as equals. The difference between desperation and respect was clear to everyone in the room. Intelligence Officer Ha Young brought more reports from the Outer Rim Confederation. The Human Zephany Alliance had just established successful colonies on 5 new worlds. The Krindle had shared construction technology that let humans build space stations twice as fast as before. The Vorthani trade networks had given humans access to resources that the old galactic powers had never even discovered. But the most important difference was not in what the aliens offered, but in how they offered it. The Zephany asked for human opinions and listened to the answers. The Krindle treated human ideas as valuable contributions rather than amusing curiosities. The Vorthani negotiated deals that benefited everyone rather than just themselves. President Wujin stood before the United Earth Assembly to deliver humanity's response to the galactic powers. His words would be remembered throughout history for 500 years. We sought to prove our worth to those who had already decided we were worthless. Today, we choose to build our future with those who recognized our value. From the beginning, the response transmitted to the waiting alien fleet was polite but absolutely final. The people of Earth appreciate the Galactic Council's belated recognition of our contributions. However, we have made commitments to new allies who have treated us with the respect that true partnership requires. We wish the Council well in their future endeavors. The alien fleet waited for 3 days hoping for a different answer. Admiral Kavesh sent message after message increasing the offers and promises. The Council was willing to give humanity anything they wanted, complete control over galactic civilization if necessary, but the human response never changed as the great alien ships slowly departed, carrying with them the death of the old galactic order. Humanity looked toward the Outer Rim, where new civilizations waited to build something better together. The Zephany had already invited human families to settle on their garden worlds. The Krindle were excited to learn human art and music. The Vorthani were planning joint exploration missions to uncharted regions. The established alien powers watched their ships leave human space, knowing they had lost more than just valuable allies. They had lost their future. The galaxy was changing, and they were being left behind by the very species they had dismissed as primitive. Back in the council chambers, the mood was funeral. The great powers that had ruled the galaxy for millennia were now facing the collapse of everything they had built. Their economies were failing, their technologies were becoming obsolete, their influence was shrinking every day. The humans had not destroyed the old galactic order through war or conquest. They had simply walked away and built something better. The aliens were learning that relevance could not be maintained through arrogance, and that respect once lost through contempt could not be reclaimed through desperation. In the Outer Rim, the Human Confederation continued to grow. New alien species were making contact every month, drawn by reports of a civilization that treated all members as equals. The galaxy was reorganizing itself around principles of mutual respect and genuine partnership. The old council territories were becoming backwater regions, while the Outer Rim blazed with innovation and progress. Human technology was advancing at unprecedented rates. Human colonies were thriving on worlds that had never been explored. Human culture was spreading to species that had never heard of the Galactic Council. The greatest irony was that humanity had finally achieved everything they had dreamed of. When they first joined the galactic community, they had found respected partners, advanced technology, peaceful cooperation, and unlimited opportunities for growth. They had just found it all with different aliens. The Council's regret would echo through the cosmos for generations to come. Their mistake had been simple but fatal. They had believed that power came from position rather than contribution. They had thought that respect could be withheld rather than earned. They had assumed that those they dismissed would always be there when needed. But some bridges once burned by arrogance cannot be rebuilt. With apologies, some trust once broken by contempt cannot be restored with desperate promises. The galaxy would remember this lesson forever. Treat others as you wish to be treated, because tomorrow they might not need you as much as you need them. The age of human servitude was over. The age of human leadership had begun, and the aliens who had made it possible through their own blindness could only watch from the sidelines as the galaxy moved forward without them.